Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm your host, Rising Oblivion. Today guys, we have something very special. So, I had my hands on a Monark code and got to play the game early. So I'd like to thank NAS America for giving me a code. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate it so much. Now, I do need to say before we get started that this video will have no spoilers with the story, but I do need to say that there are some spoilers in this, so please be prefaced that there might be some spoilers in here. I'm not going to try to go into the story, so nothing story related is going to be said in this video, but I obviously might be spoiling some of the game's mechanics, leveling up systems, stuff like that, but I'm going to try and do this for the quality of the video so you can know what you're kind of getting your hands into when it comes to Monark. And I do tend to eventually later on get into more spoilers, into some more spoiler-like videos later down the line, but for now I'm going to be keeping all story spoilers out of this, but certain mechanics and stuff like that might have some spoilers in there. So before we jump into this, I do want to say the game comes out February 22nd in North America, it comes out February 25th in Europe, and it also comes out March 4th in Australia and New Zealand, and also you get the Japanese and English audio for this game, but you also can have it, of course, subtitled when you're playing it in Japanese or whatever. But alright, let's go ahead and jump into this review. So first things first is I'd like to talk about the combat in this video, which is one of the best things about Monark. The gameplay has a cool way of making a turn-based game feel very enticing. You only get a certain amount of movement on the playing field, so you tend to try and work with your different skills and setting up certain linked attacks with your party, which feel very fun. So if you're smart enough, you can attack in certain ways, which can avoid getting counterattacked from being too close to the enemy. And I think this combat mechanic is the game that makes it stand out the most whenever it comes to this type of combat. If you have a line of certain characters in the right way, you can attack enemies at the same time, so if you're not careful, they can also do the same to you as well. So it's about outsmarting the opponent. There's a lot of strategy involved, which I think is very fun. There's also backstab attacks, which are great because you can hit the enemy from behind and will grant you not only just bonus damage, but you won't be counterattacked when that happens. So you as a player are rewarded in battle for planning out your course of action. So you literally can, in metaphorical and a literal sense, you're rewarded, because at the end of the battle you'll be granted with a letter grade, and as that goes up, the better you do, it also gives you more spirit, which is the form of currency in this game, and also XP. It kind of does both, kind of like a Dark Souls situation, I guess you could say. So another interesting feature also in this game is that you have the phone, and the phone acts as so much more than what it really lets on. I mean, the battles start from the phone, and you can actually go to your recent calls in it like a normal phone and replay battles. And you can replay those battles to get better grades, which will also give you better loot and more spirit and better items. So you can sort of keep doing this over and over again and sort of farm for different stuff. And the battles are not exactly the same every single time. So you could go to your recent calls and redo a battle, but there's some randomized elements that actually make them replayable, which is nice. It's not the same battle over and over again. However, at times there is only just a few battles though, about 3 per new story arc, unless you find some secret battles, so that's one negative to it. You only get about 3 of them per little story arc, so you're not having a ton to go back to. The layout of the map stays the same, however certain elements, enemies, different things on the field, foliage, some different things like that might change, which is sort of the randomized aspect of that. So you can have more enemies, say, opposed to the last time you played it, so you can get more items and more XP, so that can change up. However, the whole environment, the actual stages layout itself will always be the same. And I wish there was a little bit more, a couple more, maybe like 5, I guess, per story arc or something like that. The story arcs are somewhat small, but I'm not going to get into any more of that because, again, I don't want to spoil the story in this. Let's move on to another aspect of this game, and that is going to be the leveling up system, which I think does have a really nice mechanic and is a pretty cool part about this game. We'll get into some more negatives later, those damn puzzles, but the leveling up system is interesting because you unlock a skill and also gain a level at the same time, which increases your stats. So the only way to level up is by unlocking a skill, but not just for your character, but also for the team, and also the vessels, which are based off of one of the deadly sins. See, when you start the game, you go through certain tests, and based on those tests, you get labeled with a certain one of the 7 deadly sins, which is going to be the first vessel you get. And, it's like a sort of figmanoid looking I don't know how to explain it. I guess it's a representation of one of the sins, and they also level up as well, which is pretty cool. But you unlock more human characters as you play and have more of a, diverse team. You also have more vessels that you get, which is one of those deadly sins, as you progress in the game as well. So you're not just having one. You might start with lust or something like that and play a little bit more. You can unlock wrath and pride. You will have more down the road, and each of the different characters, human or one of the 7 deadly sins vessels, they all have unique and specialized skill trees, which makes it interesting in the combat because not every single character is going to be the same. So when you have a brand new character, you can try out new skills, linking new skills with other characters and different ranges of the enemies. So you have a very nice, sort of resonance, which is actually an ability, resonance and just sort of synergy when it comes to your team. So it makes the skill trees have this aspect where you're trying to do different bits of combat to maximize your damage output, and also by doing so, seeing how well a grade you can actually get for a brand new level based on your new skills. So you can unlock new skills, try those new skills out, maybe with a couple of different teammates or something like that, and that will give you a brand new grade, or give you some new loot or something like that. Maybe you'll figure out something, a new skill, maybe you can learn how to revive a dead teammate or something like that. You can learn something new that can aid you so much more in battle than, ever before. And like I said, you can go back and replay battles. So let's say you get an F on one because you're like, man, my characters just kept dying, but later on one of your vessels learned how to revive teammates, and you go back to that, revive teammates, and all of a sudden you have an A on that, which unlocked a bunch of more loot and stuff. So you always can kind of go back and maximize, exactly how well your character is and build synergies based off of what your other teammates have as well. So we've talked about combat and the progression system of the game, but let's talk about the overworld gameplay. So other than going to the school doctor to get medicine and stuff like that, and just talking to the other students to get their profile and stuff like that, so you can add that to your library collection of stuff, but there are puzzles that you will have to run into with each story arc of this game. Now, the puzzles, however, I think might be the worst part of this game. And don't get me wrong, I'm a person who likes puzzles in games, but it's so bad to the point where me and Gabmu, another content creator who got the game early, we spent over 1 whole hour together trying to figure out one location's puzzle in just a room where it's just literally trying to solve that puzzle. And it wasn't really hard, it's just very confusing and frustrating. I mean, I even soft locked myself a few times to the point where I just had to die in order to get out of the locked room because it was just such a frustrating puzzle and we couldn't figure it out. Sometimes the puzzles, like I said, it was just frustrating to say the least. Now, I'd say over half of the puzzles that I did were not so bad. I mean, some of them are pretty simple, pretty easy to get by. A good challenge, but they're not frustrating, I like a good challenging puzzle, but not a super frustrating one, and that's kind of what I don't like. Now, I'd say they're more frustrating than hard, though, for most of them. I mean, for instance, I had to input a date for the game for a password for a computer or something like that, and I put the date in exactly like I said. I mean, it was something like 5/16 or something like that for the date. So I went and put that in to the password, and it said it was wrong. And I'm like, what is going on here? I don't know what's happening. I tried so much over and over and over again. It turns out I had to add a 0. I had to be 0516 because a month, it's technically 2 digits. You need to put 05 because, it can keep going up to double digits like 12 or 11 or whatever. But the game is allowed to have the date be 5/16 with no 0, but when you input the actual password and everything yourself, you need to have that. So there's like a weird double standard sometimes, and sometimes it just doesn't do a very good job at conveying exactly what you're supposed to do. And I talked to some other people who got the code early, and I was like, man, it just feels like I always am on the cusp of like figuring out what a puzzle is, and then I just get trapped. Like something just doesn't click, or it just doesn't work right, or it's something very simple to do, but like really frustrating on just like one aspect of it, and I just can't figure it out. And this happened to a lot of people, unfortunately. But yeah, I think the puzzles might be the worst thing about this. And now, I don't want to spoil the story at all in this vid, but I'm going to say a few things about it. I'm not going to spoil any super detailed aspects or anything about it, but it does tend to have a decent amount of dialogue that you have to read, like most JRPGs. So I'd say if you're ready for that, you're ready for this game. That's something that you're used to, it is what it is. And overall, I think the story is actually pretty good. I enjoyed playing it and understanding the story. On the plus side, however, there are very, very good-looking animated cutscenes at times that look very well done. I think something like Persona 5 Strikers had some cutscenes like this that looked really, really nice, like super HD looking. So you can also get those cutscenes to help you with story as well. It's not just all dialogue, but really cool, nice cutscenes that also give you story elements and exposition as to what's going on and lore and whatnot of the game. So it's not just all dialogue. I'm not saying it's anywhere near like Persona level of dialogue. You know, it has just, I think, a fair amount, a good amount needed. I mean, obviously the beginning bits might be a little more, you know, explanatory towards what everything is, understanding the whole game's aspect and everything else, but it's overall not too bad. The story is easy to get. Like I said, it's like most JRPGs. Yeah, you get a bit of dialogue, but there's very well, nicely done animated cutscenes, and even some more stuff here later on that you'll see within the game. Maybe I'll cover this in some later videos that are also very good for conveying story. But all in all, I think this game is very fun. With the things that I have said, I would give it something like, I'd say a 7 out of 10. Now, I've only played through it once. My opinions might change about this in the future, and I'm not sure if they intend on doing DLC or anything like that. Right, as of right now, there's just like some DLC costumes, I think, which it's pretty cool. I mean, if you're a person who likes to do that kind of stuff, you can have some costumes there, but I think the deluxe version of the game, which is only $5 more, comes with all the outfits, so you end up saving more money doing that, by the way. So if you know you're going to have the outfits, go ahead and do that. But like I said, a 7 out of 10 is what I would grade it if I had to have some score. Now keep in mind, this is my opinion. After all, I do love JRPGs. I've played a lot of old ones, I've played a lot of new ones, but I feel like this is an accurate score for the game. But if the puzzles were just better, I think I would give this an 8, because it's just the way they are, and I don't necessarily think the puzzles are hard. I just think they're kind of done wrong at times. If it was all for the puzzles, you know, I think this game would be significantly better. Maybe it's some translation type stuff. I'm not 100% sure exactly. You just have to play the game to sort of figure it out for yourself. And they're not super repetitive, but the puzzles just aren't nice. Now, I love puzzles, don't get me wrong. I love Catherine. It's one of my favorite games ever, and it's just a platformer puzzle game. And the puzzle castle in SMT5, I really loved that. And the puzzles in SMT3, I thought they were fun. I mean, heck, I didn't even really care that they were having a patch come out for the puzzle castle in SMT5, because I got through that thing lickety-split. It wasn't very hard for me. The puzzles aren't very bad. I just think that just the execution and the way it's done in this game isn't the best. And I don't mean to sound really negative, it's just I feel like it's easier to pull out the negatives of this stuff than it is the good positive side. So like I said, gameplay of this game, it's very good. Probably one of the best that I've actually seen, or at least people trying to make a JRPG be different. Like I said, you can change things with movement. You have different range within your abilities, different scopes. You can hit multiple enemies. You have a fun way of incorporating new skills to your team, and you can have some, you know, synergies. You know, you could do different things where you can set up, you know, one of your teammates to actually increase the stats of another one. I guess you could say like buffs, and then that makes your character then able to do a bigger, you know, area of effect when it comes to one of their skills and wiping out more enemies. It's about figuring out those synergies and adding on top of stuff that I think is really the goal of this game. I think the gameplay is amazing, story is great so far, the animated cutscenes are very, very good, puzzles are just kind of that minor detail where I just think it lacks quite a bit in. But other than that, I do consider this game to be pretty good. I'd pay full price for it because I do think full price there. I do think it has enough content to warrant that. And that's just not me saying it because I got a code. I am being truthful and honest to you about this when I talk so much about the puzzles. If this wasn't true, I do think it's worth a full price. I honestly think it's a pretty good, you know, game. But I think that's it for now. Let me know if you have any questions. Say them down below about this game. If you have any questions about Monark, I will try my best to answer them. I will gladly answer them if I can. I also will be streaming this game, so if you want to see some gameplay, want to ask me some stuff before the game releases on the 22nd, please do so. Like, comment, subscribe for more content. Always click the bell to be notified. I'll be having more content about Monark coming out very, very soon. I haven't really said all I think I wanted to say about this game, but I think I will make some videos in the future, and I think I'm going to be doing a more bigger, in-depth combat video to sort of help you with that, guys, in the future, in case you want to see more about that. And like I said, I'll also try to stream it so you can get some more gameplay, maybe some more thoughts about it. There is a demo still out for it, so if you have not gotten to play the demo yet, I highly advise play the demo first before you make any, judgments on getting it. I know my opinion might be valid to some people, when it comes to playing this stuff and the whole review I've done here, but nothing quite beats just getting it and playing it yourself like a demo. So play the demo if you kind of are wondering about that. But I think that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I will see you all so much. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.